There have been rumors for at least a full year now that Alpine has been looking for some infusion of capital into their F1 team, because it's well reported that when it comes to infrastructure and just general capital investment, they lag behind the top three teams. We don't actually even know if they're fully, like last year, if they fully hit the cost cap number. But they got that infusion, and it came with a really fun headline. And I think we need to address the fact that three really big names in Hollywood got to be the headline of what was a $218 million purchase of 24% equity in the Alpine F1 team.
Yeah. So when I woke up to the headline of Ryan Reynolds invests in Alpine, I thought I was dreaming. And then it was followed up with Rob McElhenney, which makes so much sense because I don't think the two of them are now able to invest in anything not together. And Michael B. Jordan.
And I love headlines like this because it's a big investment group and they are just, and like, it's probably mostly like people in finance whose names we wouldn't care about. But because Ryan Reynolds' name is there, that gets to be the headline. And there was the big, like, breaking news graphic that F1 uses, and it was just Ryan Reynolds' face, which made me a little salty for Michael B. Jordan. And, like, I want to see his face on a giant F1 graphic.
Yeah, I think it's just people know Ryan Reynolds. I mean, people know Michael B. Jordan. Not that they don't know any.
Come on.
Right. I know. As I'm saying this, but that's as also as I live in the household and the Super Bowl commercials. I was really excited about Michael B. Jordan being in a commercial, and my dad was like, "I thought it was Michael Jordan from the from the basketball," and I'm just like, "No, you just don't know pop culture." So that's what I have like happening in my brain, but. Huge headline. I think Ryan Reynolds also has developed this magic of a headline wherever he is like putting an investment. It seems that like people really enjoy it, or it ends up being very lucrative for him in some fashion, whether it's actual money or just really interesting press. So I think that's why he's like the really easy like lump on here. But yeah, it's so incredible the amount of headlines that were just like list all three of them, like Ryan Reynolds, Rob McElhenney, and Michael B. Jordan like went to a race and was like that one, which is like so not at all what happened
No,
and not at all what an
great.
investment group is, but that's how I'll imagine it happened.
So there are two non-celebrity things that I really want to talk about with this. The first one being, this is the first time since the sale of Williams that we now have a in-stone valuation of how much an F1 team costs. And this is a middling midfield. This is not like the Mercedes, Red Bull, Ferraris of the world. This is Alpine we're talking about. That since they've returned to the grid, they're just there.
Yeah, I would say they're the team that is in probably like the most identity crisis as they're trying to like figure out who they want to be on the grid and like what their branding is and kind of the back and forth with like Renault and Alpine and referring to like that whole again confusing web of names.
Decided to do what HBO Max just did, where they said, we have this big brand cachet in HBO. Let's drop that part of it and become Max streaming. Alpine basically did the same thing, where they had like this historic name in Renault that has a history in F1 and racing, and they said, you know what we should do? We should go by something else. And yes, like I hear you screaming in the comments all the reasons why they did it, and they want to promote their sports car brand, yada yada yada. It's still kind of silly, and it's still the same vibe.
I would support you more if your car was pink all the time.
Yes, honestly, that is the key to this. But so before I get into the marketing, which is also the pink car of it all, I think that it's worth pointing out that when Williams sold, it sold for the amount that this investment group just bought a 24% share. So in 3 years' time, the value of an F1 team has quadrupled. And this is like, it's hard with these entities that don't sell to get a clear market indication like this. And I think we can now very clearly say that a good F1 team is worth well over $1 billion, because this puts Alpine at about 900 million-ish. So like, yeah, $1 billion. We're talking $1 billion franchises.
Yeah, I mean, technically, if you want to think of it as a team, if you want to look at Alpine as the last time they've won, which aka Renault was like 2006, like almost 20 years ago, and they're getting some type of valuation close to $1 billion is crazy. So even if you want to be looking at them of falling in the constructors in fourth place last year, whatever way you want to look at that, that still puts 3 teams above them, which would definitely put, I mean, I would feel very comfortable in saying Ferrari's worth over $1 billion and Red Bull, Mercedes, no question. So it's just incredible to be thinking what the evaluation of the other teams could be. It would be very interesting to see the Williams deal go through now. Just given like what would be the strength and value of the Williams racing name, and then also just having that already established spot no matter current success of the team.
We've been hearing rumors that 3 teams got offers for over $1 billion and they were rejected because they felt like they were too little. And when you see that headline, like various F1 teams won't sell for $1 billion, I now see why. Like, I 100% see why. Because of the teams, like, I don't think I'd put Alpine, like, even though they finished 4th, to your point, like, I don't think they are the 4th most valuable team on the grid because of infrastructure and investment. Like, Audi is buying into Sauber, and I believe Sauber's facilities are more recent and up to date than Alpine's are. So, like, and this is just the F1 team. The equity has nothing to do with the engine division as well. So the number blows my mind. And all of this is because, like, I personally, from a sporting perspective, have an issue with the cost cap and how they're handling the cost cap. But this is the financial result of having fixed costs. The health of this sport in 3 years because of that cost cap is wild.
Yeah, and teams are being kind of forced to, I mean, I think a lot of them want to be looking for other ways to get in a cash flow intake and like different investment and different opportunities and different pinpoints that way. But it also just feels like with this big boom of F1 and obviously the growth and the interest and the value skyrocketing so very quickly, it will be really interesting if it'll continue to kind of maybe be like a bubble. Like, who knows what this entire interest will turn into and the growth will turn into, whether it's expanding the calendar or adding new cities to the calendar. I mean, we're talking about last week how F1 Arcade is expanding to arcades across like the globe. So, and that's like just, it's like an entity that if you want to be looking, you think Formula One, you think Grand Prix races, you don't think of a urban metropolitan arcade bar. Like it's a crazy brand extension already. So it's, I don't know, maybe some people do. Someone clearly did and is now hopefully got a promotion for thinking of this amazing idea. But whatever it can continue to evolve into, I think will just open up more room for different types of investors that we probably never would have anticipated investing at all or having any sort of interest in F1. I mean, I think you could have also said the same thing about Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney when they invested in Wrexham. Like, everyone was like, what? Like, this sounds kind of real world Ted Lasso-y type vibes. And so who's to say that they can't just like go somewhere and do it again-ish? I know it's not the same, but they're not.
And that's like, a perfect transition. This is a perfect transition into the marketing aspect of this. And I pulled up some quick numbers here to talk about how with the boom of F1, I personally see that Alpine seems to have lagged behind in fan interest and fan popularity. And so I'm going to compare them to McLaren, for example. These are not end-all be-all numbers, but as of recording this on Tuesday, June 27th, McLaren has 10.5 million followers on their Instagram account. Then Ferrari has 11.3 million followers on their Instagram account. Mercedes has 11 million followers. and I had Red Bull right here. There it is. Red Bull has 10 million followers. Alpine has 2.8, which puts them in the league of Alfa Romeo that has 2.1. So, and this is a factory team, a works team with history in motorsports. So you can't say, oh, McLaren has more because of their history. Like, do they have a better history? Yes. But do they also have a fantastic marketing department that I don't think Alpine has? Yes. They also, like, performance-wise, like, you can't say, like, oh, well, McLaren's had fantastic performance like the other ones I've read. No. Like, there's a reason I'm harping on the McLarens. Because on track, they're relatively speaking one-to-one. I mean, we can talk about the British audience versus the French audience. I can't get in the weeds. But in modern-day Formula One, the team with the most missed opportunities when it comes to marketing, I believe, is Alpine, which means that the team that can benefit the most from the marketing master himself, Ryan Reynolds. Like, this feels like Alpine going, okay, yeah, money. I mean, the reality is they took this for the money. But me from the outside, I'm like, please leverage this. But my worry is with a team like Wrexham, he could do whatever the hell he wants. With something like Mint Mobile, they're like, yeah, Ryan Reynolds, do your thing. F1 is notoriously tight with the ability to shoot things, do anything fun. Like, do you think the reason the teams don't do more on social during the weekend isn't because they don't want to. It's because there's these broadcast rights deals in place that don't allow them to. Have you ever been in the United States and have been unable to watch a Sky Sports video that has nothing to do with on track, but because it was filmed at a Grand Prix, you need to go to like the back alleys of Reddit to find a version of that video to watch? Yes. That's because of these crazy, crazy tight broadcast deals that have loosened slightly since the post-Bernie era, but Ryan Reynolds is not going to be able to do whatever he wants. Ryan Reynolds is going to be given this tiny box to play in, and I am not convinced yet that he can make that work.
Yeah, and as I think to make a very like broad statement, or not broad, but a very like potential hot take, and just kind of like reflecting on reasons why maybe like Alpine isn't winning in the marketing game, or at least my brain was thinking in terms of like the social media numbers, and this is like a live thought I'm happening right now. So if this is all garbage and you disagree, anyone listening, like that's so fair because it could be nothing. But I'm curious of your take.
Stop qualifying it. Give me your fun take.
From like watching Drive to Survive, not even just the most recent season with everything with Alpine, but Reynolds was it was always kind of spun of like them being not like kind of played as the villain. So I could see why the newer fans wouldn't necessarily be like diving immediately to go follow, and then weren't part of that like rebrand, or like there could just be a lot of things where they missed the mark, to your point. Like, I just remember, and again, as I'm sitting here in a Daniel Ricciardo shirt, but as I remember watching Drive to Survive and having such the awful taste in my mouth of, like, how that all went through, and just the way that was played out. So I feel like maybe if a lot of new fans were introduced to teams this way via Drive to Survive, and, like, that was their initial opinion on things, and then Alpine is Renault, but it's not Renault, and, like, that could be part of it, too. That's, like, the random piece. But I think you're so spot on. I think McLaren, again, is that great example of, you know, history in the sport, not necessarily like stellar, unbelievable, top-notch performance on track, but still having like a really unbelievable marketing presence like across the board. Like people
don't seem
love
to have a
Sorry. Yeah, no, they're able to like get the new fans, or like people are excited to say like, I'm like, go Papaya, and it's like, you haven't seen a podium in like who knows, like I don't know how long, like but people are still so proud and excited, and it doesn't matter because they just love the McLaren branding and like what it comes with, and Alpine is totally missing that.
Yeah, and it's shocking to me because your Daniel Ricciardo point, like Alpine and Renault have had great drivers. Like, they had the Daniel Ricciardo bump. Then they had the Fernando Alonso bump. Then they had the scandal bump. Like, Red Bull is the villain. Mercedes sometimes were the villain in Drive to Survive. Like, I don't know how much of it is, like, a villain thing, but, like, a lack of identity to latch onto. That is, and I do think they have a driver pairing right now that's not providing that, and I love Esty Bestie. But, like, him and Pierre aren't Fernando and Daniel Ricciardo. And I don't, they also seem reluctant to lean into the French team thing. Like, they scream corporate safety. And so, you know what fixes corporate safety? You know, Ryan Reynolds. Oh, wait, I don't think he's going to be able to do, like, it would be in a dream world. Like, Ryan Reynolds, shit, like, God, put Ryan Reynolds in a room with Otmar and just make him feel uncomfortable. Like, yes, like, this is, like, there is stuff there. Like, it's just not.
Yeah, Otmar's definitely never seen Deadpool, and I don't foresee that he will. I'm hoping that this deal, again, as we're talking about, like, investment groups and things, and as cool of an idea it would be for, like, Ryan Reynolds just to walk in somewhere and be like, do all of this! Like, obviously that's, like, not what would go down, but it would be really interesting just because a lot of the members of this group, and as Reynolds' CEO wants to say, it's not about the money, like, okay, it is, but them having
this capital investment,
of course, and it feels like it could be a little bit too late, but they are talking about wanting to put a lot of the investment towards hospitality and, like, things for fans, and there is certain members and, like, lots of different members of this investment group that have ownerships and participations in other, like, soccer teams and other like sporting events overall. So I think the conversation in the room could be really interesting about just, like, what has worked and hasn't worked from different types of people. It's weird that Ryan Reynolds could be just in that room of conversation.
He
so
should
right
bring him, bring Rob, bring Michael B. Jordan. Like, these like, yes, they're celebrity names, but, like, if Ryan Reynolds' agency is not in that room, it doesn't have to be him. It needs to be his advertising agency is not in the room for the marketing conversation. That is a missed opportunity.
Oh yeah, 100%. I think, and then again, I mean, driving force as to why I think he would want to have been a part of this, and anyone would have want him to be a part of this.
Right.
So that's me coming from the place of maybe they'll be better and they'll be doing everything that they say that they're going to be doing marketing wise, but it's cool to see that they're like, that just the value is at $1 billion. Would I necessarily agree for that for Alpine? I don't know right now, but I think in general for the health of the sport and where it's going, that it is really just cool to see. And kind of
in summary, holy crap, F1 teams are now worth over $1 billion. And F1, loosen the reins and let Ryan Reynolds do something fun, please. We don't actually think you will, but I will ask for it. Gridwalk will be here asking for you to do something fun that is not just, like, not the normal thing you do with celebrities, F1. Like, you're too, like, even stodgy with your celebrities. Like, let him loose to do whatever. And put Otmar in a room and make him watch Deadpool and react.
Thank you for watching this highlight from episode 23 of Gridwalk. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more F1 videos and a ton of F1 fun. Also, you made it this far into the video. Why not watch the rest of the podcast? Because the full thing's right here. Ready? Click with me. Ready? Click here. Click, 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 click.